Hello, and you are listening to The Professional Artist. I am Echo Chernick, and we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 1077 in FM in New Orleans, simulcast on YouTube and Facebook. Please like, follow, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And my guest is Nathan Ricks. And hey, how you doing, Sean?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
And awesome. So we're going to have a great time talking because you are always super fun to talk to. Where did we meet first? We met at RadCon, I think.
RadCon. Yeah, we were at RadCon and I got to meet you there. We know a lot of the same artists like Rob Carlos, Jeff Sturgeon, and Todd Lockwood.
Yeah, that kind of happens when you know artists. They're like barnacles. You just kind of like barnacle onto each other and get to know each other, and all of a sudden 20 more artists and share information. So it's that's what's pretty cool about being an artist. So what were we just talking about? We were just talking about what you were saying to do like 200 paintings a year or something.
100 paintings a year. If 200 would be really too much, but 100 paintings is one every 3.5 days. That's enough.
As big as the one behind you?
No. So the one behind me is a large one that's just sitting. This is in my brother-in-law's office, and I just found out he's got a hat. Look at that.
Oh,
I'm now wearing a hat. For those of you in the radio land that can't see me, I just stole my brother-in-law's hat. I'll probably put that back on the wall. I don't want to get banned from using this. I'm in his office today because I'm out traveling, and I'm not at my art studio.
And you also came into his office and found that he has a cat as well. A cat and a hat.
Yeah, the cat got let out. I don't want the cat suddenly jumping up and attacking me. It'd be a night. It'd be great for the people who are watching.
You should always have a cat in there.
How many do we have watching?
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. It doesn't show me. On YouTube, we have right now 5. And how many listening? I don't know. I found 6. So definitely ask some comments if you want. I can post those up if people have comments on YouTube. I can post the comments on YouTube. And as far as the radio station goes, I don't see those. So, but definitely go over to YouTube and ask comments because I like to heckle you with questions because you're so much fun to heckle.
It'll be so much fun.
Heckle. So, card game. Tell us about your card game.
Well, it's the iMagi Kingdom of Thor card game. We've had 2 incredibly successful Kickstarters. We have about 20 artists working with us, and Echo and I were just talking about the 2 cards that she's going to have in the card game, which I haven't made yet because I've been being very lazy.
No. One is mine. One is Kat Chernick's card. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
One is my offspring's.
Your offspring.
Technically is also
the other
mine
one, the mini.
I made my offspring, and she made the card, so technically I can claim that one by proxy, I think.
So you've got about 1/4 of the input on that one.
Yeah. So, but she's the bunny ear one, and I like how you art direct those because you don't actually. It's a little bit different from normal card games where they ask for art by describing the art that they want, and then having the artist make the art. You actually just write the card around existing art.
Oh yeah, there are so many people out there that will over art direct any kind of a project. I go the other route. I want to find out what piece of artwork you've got that you'd like to have on a card, and then I develop the card around the artwork. That way it works fantastic for you. It's something that you may have even had molding in the background. You've mothballed that. You want to breathe new life into it. That's what we do here.
Which is super cool. Talking about business of illustration for a second. I think we've talked a little bit about licensing art. One of the ways that illustrators can make extra money with art that you've already made is if you own the copyrights to your art, is that you can relicense art that you already own. So if you have done a painting like the one you're talking about, where I happen to have a really great tortoise in my piece, and this tortoise is just sitting there being all awesome and tortoisey, and you're like, I can make a card out of that. So you're just going to license this tortoise to put on the card, and I don't have to do anything. I'm just like, here, have my tortoise, and you are going to use the tortoise, a non-exclusive license, which means so I can license my tortoise to somebody else too, and you're going to pay me to put him on the card. And basically the artist doesn't have to do anything. I don't even have to do anything to the tortoise, and that's just called licensing out your artwork, which is a great passive way for artists to make extra income of things they own, which is fantastic when you get your work relicensed. So that's why you want to hang on to your copyrights.
It is such an easy way to do it. In fact, we've got a question here. How long did it take you to make a living at being an artist? And we can wrap this into the same comment that you just made. Let's see. So I was the worst artist in my entire high school. And so I had a lot to prove. I had a gigantic
You must
chip
have had
on my shoulder.
You must have had a really small high school then.
Well, we only had a graduating class of maybe 300, but I was the worst. And then I went to, so I was classically trained at Utah State University, and then I apprenticed under some people. And all of the professors at USU, they said, you're never going to make it as an artist. They didn't like my attitude. They didn't like the fact that I'm a very A-type personality, an extrovert. I'm odd amongst artists because I'm a sales guy and an extrovert. So about 5 to 6 years outside of college is when I started really pushing and creating prints of my work and marketing it publicly. And the first place I went and marketed my art was I traveled with a carnival for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I ran their games. And I marketed my art, and it's also how I got a great scar on my arm because they had a carnival ride that was malfunctioning called the Scrambler.
Oh, I've heard the story. Yes, I've heard the story. Tell the story. I like this story.
Yeah, so the great story here. So I was pulling a dart out of the balloon toss, which, by the way, is the only fair game on the Midway. That's the only one that's not rigged. So play that one. And I heard a sound, and you become attuned to the sound of the carnival. And the sound that I heard was not normal. I look over at the ride, and there's a light pole fixture that's 8 feet long that's on the top arm, and it has an inside hinge, an outside hinge, and a Velcro strap for safety. Well, the outside hinge and the Velcro strap had broken, and it was pivoting down and hitting the cars. And of the 4 cars that were on that arm, there was only one that had 2 little girls in it. I ran over, jumped the fence, ran to the center of the ride while it's still under full power, grabbed the light and pushed it out of the way. And then I got hit in the knee and then in the arm, flipped up into the air. And then another car came and hit me in the back and threw me across the gear line onto the ground. And I pivoted right onto my back just as the bottom part of the arm came 2 inches above my nose.
Ooh.
It stopped, and this is where I learned I could really walk with my butt because I was underneath the thing, and so I'm sitting there inching out from underneath this arm of a carnival ride, and I got up and I walk away. Now, when I say I walk away, it's more like I was stumbling away going, what in the world has happened to me?
I'm just picturing your butt muscles like,
exactly. So that's the first time I marketed my art, was traveling with the carnival, and that ended in a 6-month stint in very explosive ending there. I wouldn't suggest anybody does that to start things off. And then
that could have ended as you as a Jackson Pollock painting very easily, I think. But
exactly.
Oh my God.
3 months later, I end up getting an invitation from WesterCon, which was right across the street from Dragon Con in Salt Lake City. And I go up and I'm on my very first panel. I've got all these professionals. I've got David Boop there. Brandon Sanderson is there. And they're all introducing themselves as we all do on panels. My name is so-and-so, and I've done this and this and this, and this is why I'm that cool. And they got to me. And I'm the only thing I've ever done is marketed my art at that point with a traveling carnival. And I said, I think I'm just here for the plucky comic relief.
And I can walk with my butt.
And I can walk with my butt. And I ran into Brandon Sanderson just a couple of months back. And I said, you probably don't remember I was on a panel with you back. He says, yeah, you're the plucky comic relief guy. But it took me a good 10 to 12 years of going to convention after convention after convention before I finally got to a point where I could make a full-time living at it.
Yeah, 10, about 10 years. That's what I was told when I
Yep.
first started. It takes about 10 years. And I think I was saying that you could be an awesome artist, but if you can't sell yourself, you can be an awesome artist, but you can't make a living at it. And, you can sell yourself, which is really, really important.
That's my favorite panel to be on, is to tell young artists how to start selling themselves, how to get out there,
Yeah.
how to find the way to make the prints for cheap. Because there's so much involved in our industry. You have to know all of the logistics of where to get your prints made, what they should look like, how to make your booth, how to get into an art show, how to talk on the panels that you get onto, all of that. And 10 to 12 years is really exactly what it takes in order to make it.
And go to the panels or talk to other artists. Other artists are usually quite happy to share the information. I've never had a problem saying, "Hey, where do you get the bags to put your prints in?" And usually the artists are like, "Oh, I get them at clear bags, and make sure you get the ones with the safety seal back, or they mess up your prints." And they're usually really happy to share their sources. Usually, so talk to
And
other
a couple of the ones that reached out to me the most, Rob Carlos is a great guy. Rob's our buddy.
I asked him to be on here. But he was busy.
Get him on. He's been really busy with that brand new role-playing game, Start Here.
Yes, he has been very, very busy, very busy. So I will get him on here. Don't worry, he'll get on here. He's awesome.
I'll reach out to him too. I'll tell him he has to do it. He's got 4 paintings of mine in that brand new role-playing game, so I'm excited about that. And then I just did a book cover for the brand new Well World anthology. So Well World's an old concept. The author died. It went into the public domain, and David Boop is heading that up.
Cool. Very cool.
Let's get David Boop on here for you too.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, the more the merrier. I mean, I want to get people on here and just keep people talking so people can ask questions. And, I want this to be a resource so that people can, just connect and ask these questions. So, but yeah, it takes about 10 years to get established and make a living at this. So, and if it's hard, if you're shy and an artist,
I don't have that problem.
No, you don't have that problem. I think I first met you and you were like instant best friends.
Yeah. I am. That's one of the things that I love about being on a panel. If I'm up on a panel with Rob and a couple of the other guys, if they don't want to talk, they're just like, Sean, take over about 30 minutes for us.
Oh yeah, we need a moderator. You're it.
I'm in. I'll do it. And,
a
quick thing to any of your artists, the young artists that are listening, if you want to be part of the iMagi card game, go to my website, www.imagicardgame.com. That's IMAGI cardgame.com, and send me something as a contact. Say, hey, I heard about you on Echo Chernick's podcast. I want to be an artist. I'll walk you through it. I love it. I love it when I get brand new artists. We've got 20 right now. By the time we hit the end of next year, the end of 2025, I hope that we have twice as many artists.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Send information. Echo says you don't bite, so that's good, right?
Well, not often. Only when it's necessary. It really depends if someone tastes like chicken. I love chicken.
You chew, maybe a nibble. You don't bite.
Just nibble, right? Nibble.
It's not completely unpleasant, so you're good. You're safe.
And we were just talking about Gen Con just before this, which apparently is a big gamer con.
You have not been to Gen Con. I can't believe you have not been to Gen Con. Even if you don't have a booth, you need to come to Gen Con next year with your card game, because you can just sit in. They have like the gaming halls. You could just literally sit in the hallway and just be like, hey, who wants to learn this card game? And just demo your game in the middle of the night. I mean, Gen Con is the gaming con of all gaming cons. It is the best 4 days in gaming. And you need to come next year, 100,000,000%. 1 million.
Well, it's interesting. You said come to it, even if you're not going to have a booth. That's one of the things I tell young artists to do. If you are not familiar with the way that conventions work, you need to go to a convention, the one that you want to get into, go to it the year before, and then set down your goal and go to it after. That way you know what the booths look like, you know who to get in contact with. And the biggest thing is, to succeed in life and as an artist, it's kind of like playing a role-playing game on your computer. You talk to every single character in a role-playing game. That's how you find your quests, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Same
Absolutely.
thing at a convention.
That's how you find out how it works. You get your side quests. You learn all the, yeah. So no, you have to go to Gen Con. Origins is good too. I've been to both, but we don't go to Origins as much because it's not on my route anymore. But if you can go to Origins and you're close to it, go to that one too, because that gets a lot of gamers too. But you have to go to Gen Con.
Well, I'm definitely going to give that a shot. Now, next year, the amount of conventions that I'm going to is kind of up in the air. I'll tell you the ones that I have to go to. In February at RadCon, I'm the gaming guest of honor. So
yes,
definitely everybody show up to RadCon, which is in Pasco, Washington, because you'll get a lot of free stuff for the card game. And then
RadCon's actually a lot of
Con,
fun. I was the guest of honor several years ago at RadCon. It's not a huge con, and I was the guest of honor there, and I just like the vibe of it, so I just keep going back. RadCon feels to me like a very, very, very small Gen Con. It has that vibe to it that feels like friendly and awesome. It's a very, very, very small Gen Con, and I like it as much. It just feels nice. So that's why I keep going to it. So they can't get rid of me now. So I like that.
The nice thing about those small cons is you get to see your potential customers 8 to 12 times in the weekend.
Oh yeah.
If you're at a giant one, you see them maybe once and then they're lost in the throng.
Yep. You see them at like a small one like that, and you have to run to a panel or something. You know that they're going to circle back around, and they're just going to keep circling around and circling around.
Like vultures.
And they come and they visit and they bring you things and you hear the stories and you get to see their kids. And oh my God, there's so many pets that come through RadCon. There was iguanas and there was a hairless cat and there was
a parrot one year.
There's all kinds of cool things. I just like RadCon. RadCon's just fun.
Somebody had a snake and then somebody next to them had a parrot, and I don't think that's going to work out well.
Yeah, that's probably not a love story through the ages.
The python's probably going to take out the parrot.
Yeah,
not a good idea. Oh, and the small dogs. Don't get the python near the small dogs.
No, probably not a good thing. No.
For the children. All in all, bad idea. But let's see. So RadCon, NorwestCon, SageFenCon, MissCon, all of those are regulars that I hit every single year. They're all in the first part of the year. By the time May hits, those are all done.
Wow.
And after that, it's always up in the air what I'm going to go to after that.
I have San Diego, which is in July, and then Gen Con, which is the biggest show we have. That's just awesome. That's also my favorite show, just because everybody's so excited about it. And then Dragon Con, which is coming up, which is in Atlanta. And then this year I'm doing Salt Lake City Comic Con, so I'm gonna get to come visit you.
Ooh, you can't call it Comic-Con. They get so mad. San Diego went ape over that one.
They changed things. What is it? What is it called now?
Utah Fan X.
Utah Fan X, yes. And I'm going to come and see you. I haven't done that in many, many years because it always conflicts with Dragon Con. So, Kat and I are actually going to drive down and come and visit you and get to do that one. I haven't done that.
Oh yeah, we're excited about that.
8 years probably. So I'm kind of. A lot of people are like, "Why haven't you come and visited us?" Because it conflicts. It never gets to go.
Well, you may want to look up Dragon Steel Con. That one is Brandon Sanderson's baby. So I was talking to Brandon about it, and Brandon Sanderson and his company put together Dragon Steel Con.
When is that?
It's going to be in Salt Lake City.
Do you know when it is?
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't even looked it up yet, because if I want to go to it, I'm just going to glom on to some of the people that are on panels and then just go in without having to pay for anything. And then they'll just call me up to put me on panels anyway, because I get picked from the audience all the time. Sean, what are you doing down there? Get up here. We don't have someone for this spot. Sit down. What are we talking about, guys? We're talking about widgets that are purple and they're people eaters. I'm like, yeah, I can talk about that for an hour.
Just make it up. Go.
That's right. Let's see here.
And if those of you are, if you're an artist and you're like really shy, I used to be so shy. Oh my God, Laz could tell you this. I used to be so shy with public speaking, so terrified. I mean, like I would throw up in the bathroom first, like sort of shy. And he got me into role playing in college, and he used to. I remember I used to when I first started role playing Shadowrun with him, and I was like, all right, well, my character is going to seduce your character, and he's like, all right, well, go ahead, and I was like, what? He's like, well, role play it. I'm like, what? Oh, in front of people? What? And after a while, you get really good at actually role playing. And actually, role playing is something I recommend to artists if they're shy, is to get with a role playing group, because your
Oh
acting
yeah.
skills get good. Because then when you're in a situation that you're not comfortable with, just drop into character. Get a character that's like really good with stuff that like outward, and just be like, okay, I'm gonna be my character and I'm gonna pretend. And it becomes a lot easier to talk to people when you can be like, I'm gonna drop into character. And and it's just like it's an acting trick, and it's something that I recommend to people that are shy, because it's a little easier to kind of put that mask on, and you get to practice a lot with your friends, because there's a lot of artists that have a really hard time talking to people, but it's a good way to practice.
And there's a lot of great role-playing games out there. We've already mentioned the one that Rob Carlos is involved with now, called Start Here. And I'm always going to give that a plug, because not only do I have art in it, I love Rob to death, but there's also Pathfinder. Pathfinder evolved out of Dungeons and Dragons, and it has a lot of people that are involved in it that are big buddies of Rob's as well. There's the card game, I Magi Kingdom of Thor card game. I love this thing because, well, I made it. And my novel comes out next year around February. And the novel is by the same name, I Magi.
Very cool.
Because, be one of those guys that can do just about everything except for math.
Math is hard. Then hire somebody to do math. Math is hard.
Right. So, is Lazarus good at math?
Yeah, he's better at math than I am. And my best friend.
Just hire you, Lazarus.
Yeah, Laz, are you good at math? Is he paying attention? He's better at math than I am most of the time. We'll find out if he makes a comment if he's good at math. but my friend Emma, she went to Cambridge for math, so she's better at math than both of us. And so
there's got to be those people that are good at math, because I love the people who come up to me and go, "Oh, I can't draw anything." That's good. That means I still have a job.
I know. I mean, I can Google math, but I mean, my kids are like, "Why do we have to learn math?" I'm like, "You just have to learn enough to know enough to Google the concept and be like, okay, I know this is a geometry thing and it exists, and I can Google it to figure out that it is a concept, and you don't have to remember it all. Just know that it's a concept. I mean,
they've got everything online. I don't even have to figure out how to make my own frames anymore, because they've got an app for that.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you still have to know that it exists in order. You have to know enough of it exists to be able to Google the concept.
To be able to Google it and get to the right spot. Well, and that's one of the things is when I was a kid, I learned a phrase, Renaissance man. And once I learned what a Renaissance man was, I always wanted to be one. That's why I'm an artist, a martial artist, a blues guitarist, a writer, public speaker, a voiceover artist. I wanted to do everything except for math. I'll let somebody else do it.
Let someone else do the math. So
and it's funny because my most recent ex-wife, because I'm making a collection. So my most recent ex-wife, her name is Marquesa. She is a mathematician. And she's been really mean to me lately, so I don't think she understands that as an artist, I can paint a whole bunch of goblin and ogre and zombie paintings and name them Marquesa 1, Marquesa 2, Marquesa 3. I can be as mean as possible, and there's nothing she can do about it.
You realize we are live,
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's okay. It might get back to her. I don't care. Let's see. Oh, we got a comment. Love the suggestion to get into role play to be able to people at cons. Pathfinder is fun. Scion, I don't know that one, is another good one. White Wolf Games, Nobilis, lots of good ones. Yeah, you know what? Is it Sherry or Cherry? We'll call you Sherry. I hope that's right. Sherry, I love a good Sherry. Sherry's a good drink. Let's share some at the next con, okay, Echo?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we'll have a good Sherry. Well, Sherry, being able to get out there and people at cons is probably the most important thing ever. And if you're not good at peopling at cons, glom on to one of us that are. Just kind of attach yourself to us, and then you will learn naturally. And it's so much fun, because we will cue you in gently, unless it's me. I don't cue anyone in gently.
I don't think you do anything gently.
No, well, it's my favorite thing is if I have some authors and artists that have a booth and they don't know how to talk to someone, I'll step out into the aisle. I'll put my hand out to shake someone's hand. I'll say, "Have you met Echo?" And then put them right in front of you.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. You're just like, whoa, whoa. You're like a whip. You're like, whoa-tia.
Yeah, talk to this person.
Yeah, you should meet this person. Whoa-tia. And suddenly you're there. You're like, oh, hey, and yeah, like there's a spotlight. I swear you changed the lighting in the room to be like, yeah.
That's right. But, it's a thing. I've got control of the whole thing. It's an app. There's an app for that too. It's right there on my phone. It's like, okay, we'll go ahead and get this done. Perfect. So let's see. You said what's the next convention you're headed off to this year?
Dragon Con. That's in a couple weeks. I got a poster to finish with then Dragon Con, and then Rose City Comic Con, and then the one whose name I forgot that I don't want to screw up because I'm terrified.
Utah Fan X.
Yeah, that one.
Utah Fan X.
Utah Fan X. And I don't remember what else is after that. My mind doesn't go further than that.
Okay, so let's see. So for the people who are watching so they can find you, Dragon Con, where's that one going to be at? Atlanta. Now, I know that David Boop goes to that one every year, but I don't think that Rob goes to that one any longer. And I know Jeff hardly ever makes it out.
No, because that's East Coast. That's all the way down in Atlanta. We still go because we used to be in Florida and we'd go every year. And we still enjoy it. It's different. It's funny how each show is so different from another one. It's a completely different show than, say, Gen Con. Atlanta, Dragon Con, people put so much time into their costumes. And if you go to Dragon Con, you have to go to the parade where people have the amazing cosplays. And you have to go at night to the big hotels where they go and they show off these costumes they put so much like time and effort and money into. And there's a lot of parties. I don't really do the parties per se, but it's also a good show for art as well.
But the parties are important if you're going to go and hang out with a bunch of different artists, because you have to be able to network at these things. Mm-hmm. The after party is important for networking. Now, just do not after party with Todd Lockwood, Jeff Sturgeon, and Michael Brugger, because those guys inducted me into their ceremony by...
I've heard stories.
Yeah, that one, the next morning was rough.
Yeah, I've definitely heard stories from Michael.
Good networking, though.
I've never been very good at networking. It's because of my face blindness. I don't remember faces well, and it's awkward. And so I've always avoided the networking until I've figured out about the face blindness. And now that I've figured that out, it's a little bit easier. And then when
are you able to keep track of people by their voices, though?
Sometimes it depends on the person. Okay. Each person is different. It's each person, like I call it imprinting. They imprint on me differently. Your voice is very particular. Oh, yeah. Some people don't imprint, and that's a little awkward when I go out with them the night before, and then they show up in my booth, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm the artist," and they're like, "Yeah, we just drank together for like 6 hours," and then I feel like a complete asshole. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't even care enough to remember you," and I'm like, "Oh my god," it's just so embarrassing.
You big jerk face.
It was worse before I knew. And now that I know, at least I can preemptively say, listen, I have face blindness. You might have to remind me who you are, just because it is easier. Once I remember who you are, I'm fine. It's just that it's like you come up to me and I see you and I think, hey, that might be Sean Ricks. That might also be my postman. Could be my accountant too. And it might be
my knowledge, I have never been your postman.
You could be though, but that also could be the guy that was the bellhop at my hotel, but I'm not really sure. It's like literally like it'll sit there and I'll be like, could be the bellhop, could be Sean, not sure, one or the other, could be.
Well, let's see. I don't think I've impersonated a bellhop since I was an international assassin, and that was years ago.
Well, I have to fish. I'll be like, hey, how you been? So what you doing? Oh, who ya dating? Or something, until I get some clues. Where did I see you last? And once I get some clues and I figure out, they'll be like, oh, when we drank together last night, I'll be like, oh yeah, sorry, I haven't had coffee.
Well, then you've got an excuse. Yeah, we were with it. But here's one of the things that's great. So every convention, there's going to be people that you're like, I swear I've seen that person before. I used to have a pin that I would wear that would say, it's okay, I don't remember your name either.
Yeah, that would be helpful. So
And
it's
then everyone's like, oh, hey, I'm like, hey, you, I really want to remember who you are because fans are important and I always try to make them friends. But whoa, what's your name again?
COVID was great. Everybody had masks on. No one knew who anyone was. It was such a level playing field. I was like, oh, yes. Everyone knows what I feel like. This is fantastic. Because that's how I feel.
Trying to
all the
identify
time.
you by your eyes and the bridge of your
No
nose
one knew
alone, and that's
anybody.
it.
That's how I feel all the time. I'm like, oh, this is great. Everyone's like, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you with the mask. I'm like, that's fine. This is great. Because it was so great. But yeah, it's a little awkward. But
So
now
let's
I'm
see.
now
Okay, so Dragon Con is off in Atlanta with all of the humidity. You can keep that. I don't like the humidity. And then after Dragon Con, what's the next one you're going to?
Rose City in
And where's
Portland.
that one located at?
Portland.
Portland. Okay, all right. That's a good one. I don't know why I've never looked into that one. I really ought
Yeah.
to.
I don't think they have an art show. They have Artist Alley though. That's pretty nice. It's butted up right against the right against the art show, right against the exhibit hall. So you're like right there next to
Oh,
it.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, now, who do we know that goes to that one regularly?
Me. I go.
You go. Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of, we already.
Nigel. Do you know Nigel, Todd?
I'm going to have to reach out to Mike Bruger, Andy Van. You know what? Andy Van Overberg might make it all the way out to Dragon Con. That kid, he travels everywhere. He's one of the artists we have in the card game as well, and he's great. In fact, there's so many. If I had to do a list, I'm glad that I don't have to do a list because I'd forget someone, and I don't want to do that. We are going to be bringing on Simone Rivera, though. That's a very exciting one for us.
Ooh, that's cool.
But
that's cool. What shows does she do?
Simone does. She's a fantasy artist, and she does a lot of illustration art. She doesn't do a lot of painting, but her work is spectacular. And at MissCon, she did very well in the art show, and she did fantastic in the art auction.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things for any of you aspiring artists, an art show that also has a live auction. Boy, that's great stuff right there.
Yeah.
The live auction afterwards, I love those. They never have given me an opportunity to be the auctioneer.
They should. You have an auctioneer's voice.
I would love that. And up next, we have Echo Chernick's. Okay, Echo's piece. All right, this piece is titled, What in the World Am I Doing in This Bathing Suit? And why is the bathing suit hanging over there? All right, and we're going to start the bidding off at, look, it looks like it's an opening bid of 300. Do I have 300? 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $1,000 to the guy in the corner that spells his name like a guy who just rose from the dead.
And why
I want to do that. I'm going to have to reach out. So the guy that runs MissCon is a buddy of mine, and I'm going to have to reach out to him and say, hey,
you need to do that.
Auctioneer for 2025. I want to be the auctioneer. Put me in the game, coach.
I second that nomination. You need to do that because you would be fantastic. You got the voice.
I would definitely ham it up there, and people would buy more. But this last time. We did.
You should dress for the occasion. You need to wear like some appropriate auctioneering.
Great big top hat that's all fuzzy and furry, and I dress up. You know what? Dress up like the Mad Hatter. That'd be the way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of the Mad Hatter and Alice in Wonderland, one of your so incredibly great fans, Autumn. Autumn is my girlfriend's. I don't know if she's even listening, but if she is, great. Shout out to you, Autumn.
Well,
Autumn is my girlfriend's roommate, and Autumn is excited to have you. We're going to host you in Salt Lake City for FanX, so you don't have to pay for the hotel.
I'm excited. It's more fun to hang out at people. I prefer to stay at other artists' places because you can hang out. That's the fun part.
Well, yeah, and you get to see studios, and I've got my studio that's in there. And then I've got my studio that's up here, and then I have a studio. I have 4 different studios scattered around the Intermountain West. I travel a lot. I never know where I'm going to be.
That sounds a little shady, like you're like, I have paintbrushes hidden everywhere.
That's right. I have paintbrushes that I've lost in every state.
Just in case I need to suddenly create this like hidden studios.
That would be my superhero power. What's your superhero power? I am the best guy at sourcing paintbrushes from midair. I need a paintbrush right now. Boom, there's one.
I'm a round, I'm a flat, I'm a bristle
see.
brush.
All right, so you're gonna go to Rose City Con, then you're gonna go to Utah Fan X.
I don't know what I'm doing after that.
Rose City Con, I
should come down and check it out.
Yeah, I don't, this year I think the best thing that I can hope for is just to go and check it out. I'll just visit it. I'll hope that my house that I have with the so recently mentioned X, I hope that house sells so that I have just a little extra spending cash.
So come check it out. Definitely. Oh, I'm doing Bellingham Comic Con. It's just little, but it's local. It's up here. It's local. It's nice to do local stuff because there's low.
You say up here. I don't even know where up here is.
Up here, up in Bellingham. We're in Bellingham. Up by Canada.
I am by Canada, right?
Up by Canada. So we're up between Seattle and Canada. We're the bathroom break. You go from Seattle, you take a bathroom break before you have to get to the border to go to Canada.
That's where you do it at.
Yeah, you stop in Bellingham. You have some lunch. You go to the bathroom, and then you wait in line before you go to Vancouver. So that's where Bellingham.
What year is that one held at?
I don't know. It's coming up.
Yeah, dates are hard. Lazarus, put that in the comments.
I don't know. It's coming up. I paid for it.
Somebody else put that in the comments.
It's coming up. I could probably Google it. I think it's in October. I should probably know these things.
I love.
I have it on my phone. But I shut off my phone so that nobody calls me while I'm.
Speaking of October, that's my favorite holiday. Absolutely, Halloween.
October is a month, not a holiday. October 19th.
October 19th. Okay, the entirety of October is a holiday. You have no idea. All right, from the start of October until just after October's over, that's all Halloween.
It's all Halloween.
Decorations go up, and they're up for the entirety.
2 of those 10-foot skeletons that they have from Home Depot, the ones with the eyes that move. So 2 of them, not 1, 2.
I want to get some, and I want to get a dentist chair and put one in a dentist chair and have the other skeleton doing dental work on him.
So we during COVID we had some land on Camino Island, and we set up a COVID safe big just walking trail, just this trick or treat trail, and it was all through the woods, and it was all super COVID safe. We had like 6 areas where you could pick up candy. We had like 250 kids go through. It was fantastic. We had like zombies and things. I love Halloween. Halloween is the best.
It's the most fun. I think most artists really enjoy Halloween more than anything else.
Yeah.
In fact, I need to look to see if Utah still has Horror Con, or if that's a traveling con. I love and I hate those traveling cons. You just get used to it, and it's in a different city the next year.
Yeah, I
didn't make it to WorldCon this year because last year I was at WorldCon, but this year it's all the way off in Glasgow.
And it's in Seattle next year.
Yeah, now that one I'm going to. I spoke to the convention head at RadCon, and at NorwestCon, and not at MissCon, but NorwestCon. So if DragonCon is the one that you are going to network at on the East Coast, NorwestCon is the one to network at on the West Coast.
On the West Coast. I used to be closer to Seattle. I used to live in Sammamish, but now we're an hour and a half away, which is not.
You say these names, and I don't think they're real. You're just making these cities up.
I am. I'm just making this up. So all right. So before we run out of time, tell us about your history. Where did you come from? Where did you spawn?
Let's see. So I'm from a little teeny town.
What loins did you spring from?
I'm from a little town called Smithfield, Utah. And when I grew up here, it didn't even, it had one light. One very small town, but my mother's an artist, and my grandmother was an artist.
You could speed when you know where the cop is. You're like, the cop's there, so we're good. We can speed now.
Oh yeah, and he had the perfect name for a cop. His name was DC Henry.
Oh God.
Yeah.
There he is. We're good. We can speed.
Yeah, we know exactly where he's always going to be. He set up his speed traps, but that's where I started. I went to high school, and I had a fantastic art teacher named Zan Birmingham. She was amazing. Yes, that's right. Birmingham. And she would make fun of that. She was really kooky. She stood about 6'2", and she was always wearing shoes that looked like they were bowling shoes. That was her thing. And she was amazing. She'd teach you all of the technique, and then she'd just turn you loose, saying, all right, here's what you need to accomplish for this assignment, and just go. And I learned more from the high school art classes than I ever did in college. I had 4 different college professors tell me, hey, you need to quit. You're never going to make it as a professional artist. You just don't have the right attitude to be an artist. You're too outgoing. You know, artists aren't this way. You have to have this. It's like they want every artist to be Andy Warhol. Even Andy Warhol wasn't Andy Warhol. On his deathbed, he admitted it was all an act. And then after that, I moved out to Salt Lake City. I spent some time traveling. I traveled to about 36 of the lower 48 states. I marketed art in all 36 of those states. I went to a whole bunch of different conventions, spent some time around a lot of authors. Utah is a hotbed for authors. Tracy Hickman, who is the half of the Hickman and Weiss combo for the Dragonlance novels, he's right here in Utah. Brandon Sanderson, the highest paid fiction author in the entire U.S., he's right here in Utah. They're all over Utah. Even Post Malone, he's not an artist, but he's a musician. He decided to settle in Utah. So Utah's a hotbed. Salt Lake City is this little nexus of having a whole bunch of authors. Now,
I wonder why.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why it ends up bringing them all here. But it's important because if you want to be a book cover artist, you have to get to know the authors. Get to know the authors, and you will end up having the opportunity to eventually paint a book cover. And you have to start at the bottom, which is where you always start. That's the 10 to 12 years is the big thing. So I've done about 6 to 7 book covers, and I've done about 12 maps that are inside novels. Different role-playing games have used me. There's a role-playing game out there that's little known called Phaldune, Phaldune. A really good buddy of mine, Scott Andrus, started Phaldune. And you just have to talk to everyone, and that's what I did. But I'm an outgoing guy, and so being that outgoing guy, that always worked in my favor, and that helped me get all of the things. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know what questions to ask, though. Yeah. But eventually down the road, I learned the questions to ask.
I still can't believe you haven't gone to Gen Con. That's just...
I'm going to hit Gen Con. You know what? You're guilting me into it.
I'm flabbergasted, man. Because that is the convention to go to for gaming.
Well, we only started the card game 2 years ago, and the card game has been doing very well. And I started the card game because I wanted to sell more original paintings. So the first thing I did is I wrote my portion of the book, 150,000 words, and then handed it to my co-author, J.C. Thompson. And J.C. Thompson is involved with Big World Network, which is a publishing house. And he's going through and he does the rest of the writing on it. And then we launched the card game first. The novel's coming out at year 3 mark of the card game, which is next year in February. And then once some of the artists, I never thought I'd get a bunch of artists involved. I never thought Todd Lockwood would think it would be a cool thing. I never thought Rob Carlos and Jeff Sturgeon would think it was a cool thing. I never thought Echo Chernick would think it was going to be a cool thing to get involved with.
Hey, do you want to do this? You just ask. You just like, hey, do you want to do this? You know.
Well, and I got chewed out by a fantastic artist named Brittany Torres. She said, so you've never asked me to be in your card game.
I think I chewed you out too.
And I love Brittany to death. She's amazing. She's awesome. She's a spectacular artist as well. But I didn't think these people would want to be involved. And now I've got 20 artists involved in the card game. And it's
I think I chewed you out too. Or maybe I just made passive aggressive comments on the side. One of the others.
That's how most of the artists will do it.
Like, so I didn't get invited, so I guess
you've never asked me to be in your card game. Okay, well, would you like to be in the card game? Yes, I thought you'd never ask.
I would just tell my kids, I'm like, you just ask. You never know. Somebody might be like, well, yeah, I'll be in the card game. So yeah.
Well, and that's why any of the artists, any young artists that are listening to us, any experienced artists that are listening to us, ask me. And I will go through the process. I'll tell you what it is that I'm looking for. And if I like a piece of your artwork, I will design a card around it.
And if it needs to be improved to fit, will you help them improve it to fit?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Simone Rivera, she approached me a year before I accepted her in. And she said that I'd really like to be a part of it. I said, great, this is what you need to work on. And she blew me away. Let's see, at this year, 2024 at MissCon, her work is phenomenal, spectacular.
It's a great way for artists to get published because people want to hire you if you've been published, because that says to them, oh, wait, somebody else trusted you enough to publish you, so you must be trustworthy and good because,
Right.
Look, someone else published you, so therefore you must not suck. It's a mindset thing. So,
and lucky for us, there were about 5 card games that really they paved the way for artists to be able to get published. The most well-known one is everybody knows Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And they know Pokemon. But there were a couple of card games well before Magic the Gathering. Some people know the 5 Rings, but there was one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's what Magic the Gathering actually based its card design on.
Oh, I know this.
And I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, I don't remember it. I was just.
Now, I'm sure there are attorneys at Magic the Gathering, which has now been taken over by Hasbro, the evil empire.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the attorneys would say, we never based our card game design on anything, but they did.
Yeah, I discussed that with Kat. I don't remember the name of it either. I did work for Mythos for Chaosium.
Ooh.
Back.
Tell me about it.
Back in the day, back before when Magic was first starting. That was fun. That was for Chaosium, Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu and all that. I did some cards for Mythos. That was fun. And then I did some work for Heresy, which I think just kind of tanked.
But that's the great thing is, even if they tank, you still get to use it as a publishing credit.
Yeah, I still use it as a publishing credit. Yeah. I never got into Magic because I was doing more digital work and they weren't accepting digital work. So I just we just kind of missed that exit.
They weren't at that time. Now they are. In fact, they, again, their attorneys would get mad, but they got in trouble for using AI art. And then Congress said AI art is not copyrightable. And then I think what they're doing now, I'm sure they're probably just making up artists' names and still using AI art.
I don't know.
Yeah, AI art. We all hate it. It's awful.
I kind of missed that when a lot of my contemporaries got into magic art. I missed it because I was doing digital at the time, and I just did. And I don't know how my career would be different if I ended up doing magic cards or not, but I don't know.
I had heard that there were some people that were art directors there that were a little bit difficult to work with, which is again why we like the way that I work as an art director, because I don't really direct it. I just say, find a piece, show me the piece. I like that piece. Great, let's make a card around it.
Let's do it. Yeah, it's great. I love working with art directors like that. So
well, that's the way it really ought to be. I mean, too many people, you do not inspire an artist to work with you by trying to say, I want you to do it exactly like this. I'm going to take every little bit of your artistic drive and I'm going to crush it.
Art direction is an art in itself, definitely. Yeah. I've done art direction. I art direct for Illustrators of the Future, and I should get Chris Cassiano on here. I art directed a cover for Lazarus's book with him, and I art directed him, and I want to discuss that on here. And it's a fine line between getting the artist's best work and crushing their spirit to death. And for the Illustrators of the Future, their pieces are published, and these pieces are the ones that they're being entered to be finalists to win a grand prize. And I have to be very careful that I art direct their best pieces without over art directing them, because I do not want any of them to be like, well, I didn't win because the art director made me do this thing that I don't like. And because I've had art directors that are challenging or maybe do things I don't want to do that are like, I'm like, I wouldn't have done this. This is not what I would have chosen. So I work really hard to give them art direction that lends itself to their work, because I've had
the delicate balance. It's funny you mentioned the Illustrators of the Future and missed opportunities. You missed your opportunity with Magic the Gathering and went a different way. I had all kinds of people telling me, hey, you need to submit something for Illustrators of the Future. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's for people who haven't made it yet. And they told me that and told me that and told me. But then I developed my own path for becoming a professional. And so I'm kind of missed the boat there.
Oh, yeah, you should have done that too. I didn't even know about it. That's, I would have entered. I never knew about it. So that's part of the, it's a good contest. It's really good. I wish I'd known. You missed the boat there too, and you
Mhm.
just people told you and you didn't listen.
I didn't listen.
So
I was busy trying to forge a different path down this way, which worked out, but was
yeah,
probably a lot longer than it needed to be.
yeah. But it was just different. You never know, you can't, if I'd gone down the magic path, I probably would have been a magic artist instead of an advertising illustrator. And I like being an advertising illustrator, but
Right.
it's just you never know where you're going to end up. So you just kind of have to go, okay, well, this is where we ended up instead. So but
Well, tell me, what kind of a piece are you working on right now? You've got anything in the hopper?
yeah, I'm doing a big, huge, awesome poster for the Realms Unknown Festival, which is awesome, and it's in Washington State. It's at the end of September, and it's going to be really, really, really cool. And I kind of overdid myself because that's what I do. Yeah, they're like, oh, just make one poster with these three main characters and like a really cool border, and I kind of ended up with three posters with a dragon and all kinds of cool shit. Now I'm like, well, you just kind of overdid it, Echo. And
You're
I'm
going
like,
to have to take all of these.
yeah, I kind of just got excited, and I'm like, wow, I really kind of overdid it.
But
So
that's the way
it
to go. I
looks
mean, we don't
really
want to rein
good,
in. We don't want to rein in our creative genius when it's going. When the muse is talking, you just kind of go.
but they're super happy with it. But it looks
In
really
fact,
good.
I was talking to our buddy Mike Bruger. Mike Bruger's a great artist out there. He's involved in the card game as well. So Mike Bruger, he
I gotta have
was
him on
telling
here.
me he had a chest freezer in his studio, and his chest freezer lost power, and all of the meat in it spoiled, so he couldn't paint in there. So he got himself an outside shed that he's been building, and he said, "I'm still in the midst of building it, but I want to get in and paint." And I said, "Mike, just go in there, put some stuff in there real quick and paint, and then worry about building the rest of it later, because it's going to be a mess by the time you actually get everything in anyway. Just make it a mess now. Just Jackson Pollock those walls."
I saw the picture of the outside of it. I haven't seen the inside of it. The outside
He
is
hasn't
gorgeous.
sheetrocked it yet, but he's at this point where he's like, "Oh, I need to do this first, and I need no, just get in and just start
Just
painting."
paint. Yeah, I haven't seen the inside of it. The outside's cute as heck. It's
Oh,
cute.
it's
It's
awesome.
adorable. It's so cute.
Yeah, but when the
So
muse is speaking, just go, just
just
go.
yeah, I've totally gone overboard with this piece. It's just it's a
I
little
have 3 different palettes, and I clean them at different stages so that if I'm ready to go and I've got a palette full of paint that's in varying stages of drying, I just throw that one off to the side, put the clean palette that I've got up, and I'll use that one. Then I'll throw that one off to the side, and then I'll get the clean palette, and I'll just use that one. And the palettes that I use, I love going to the dollar store and picking up those inserts for the silverware drawer, just the plastic.
oh yeah. Oh those, yeah.
They're great. And then they're $1 a piece. So when I'm supposed to go and clean those 3 that are in the corner, yeah, I generally just throw them away and go and buy 3 new ones.
I ended up getting a big pile. Those the cafeteria trays from like
Yeah.
elementary schools. I ended up with a huge pile of those old cafeteria trays. And then I got them for like a dime each, and they were the big old cafeteria trays with the circles and the
Yeah.
spaces. And I used
A
those
dime each. Oh my gosh,
And
that's
then
the way to do it.
by the time they were all like trashed, I would just really, really trashed. I would just throw them away. And then I just I'm a terribly messy painter. I'm a horribly messy baker. I'm a very messy everything. I'm so and I have white hair now, and I will run my hand through my hair, and I'll come home. My kid's like, "Oh, we're working in yellow today," and I'll be like, "What?" And I'll be like, yellow streaks through my hair. It'll be green. I'll look like the Joker, and they're like, "Mom, your your head," and I'm like, oh yeah,
So
yeah.
my girlfriend, Gina, she has a couple of marks on one of her doorknobs that she won't clean off because I was painting and then I went over to clean and get some new water, and I had just left the marks there. She won't clean them off. She's like, "Yeah, that's right. An artist lives here."
Good at Gina. I love her. She's adorable.
She's
You should
great.
keep her. You should
Oh
break
yeah,
the
no,
break
she's definitely a keeper.
the
She just retired from the Air Force.
I saw. I've been watching the page.
Yeah,
So
and she gave me the honor of narrating the flag folding ceremony. So I got to use my voice to do that for her.
Aw.
Oh, I know, she's sweet.
She's so sweet. I know how to fold a flag. I had to learn that in Girl Scouts.
Yeah,
So
well, that's the fun stuff.
yeah. All right, she's adorable. You need to keep her. She's fantastic. She's
Gonna
just,
happen.
you know, you should
Gonna
break
happen. I'm
that.
not letting her
Break,
go.
yeah, break that whole like X thing and just keep that
I
one.
just
She's
need to
adorable.
sell the house, and then that chapter's closed.
Oh, I don't think I ever sent her. I used her in the black and white drawing. I don't think I showed you. I did a black and white drawing for the coloring book I did of her as the as a
Oh,
dominant queen with a she's got a little dragonling next to her and she's a
you did
defiant
not
queen.
show me
Oh
that.
my God, she looks so defiant. She's got like this nose ring and this little dragonling on her lap, and she looks very,
Did
very
you
defiant.
show Agina?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Well, you're going to be coming up. You just have to bring it with you.
I know I'm gonna have to bring it with me because
If you can find
they loved it. The client loved it, by the way. And I can't remember if I showed her. Oh my God, just before Gen Con, I was literally just running to and from the studio, and I'm thinking I gotta send it to her. I gotta send it to her, and I can't even remember if I did or not. But I thought about sending it to her. I kind of fever dream sent it to her, but I gotta send it to you. I gotta show when we get off this. I'll show it to you because I don't think I'm.
Before we go, I want to just give a shout out to all of the artists that are involved in the card game. If I can find the list real quick. Give me just 1 second.
So let's do that real quick. And then we got to give it a go.
See. Let's pull this up if I can find them. Oh my gosh, how do I do this?
While you're doing that, I'm going to say thank you for joining me. I'm Echo Chernick, and you've been listening to The Professional Artist, live on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And go ahead, give your shout out. And,
okay, these are just a few of them. All right, so we've got Rob Carlos, Cheyenne Crone, Andy Van Noverberg, J.C. Thompson, my co-author, Matthias Ward, Michael Bruger, Nathan Schumate, sorry. He always gets mad at me. I'll occasionally call him Schumate. Those are just a few of them. So I didn't have an opportunity to look up all of them. We've got David Lundberg, Simone Rivera is coming on. We're working on getting Todd Lockwood and Brittany Torres as well, and Echo Chernick. So we really want to thank everyone who is involved in the iMagi Kingdom of Thor card game. And if you haven't gone to the website yet, go to www.imagicardgame.com. That's IMAGI cardgame.com. And thank you so much for having me on, Echo.
Awesome. And your Instagram is just SEAN Nathan Ricks.
Yep, Sean Nathan Ricks, just spelled the Irish way.
All right. Well, thank you for being on. So, all right. Well, I'll hope to have you on again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.